Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Up in the kids' room, the Calvin and Hobbes room here. I've done a video in here a long time. I'm gonna try showing the stuff that I got, the collection stuff. I did see a movie tonight, Bugonia, but I don't know if I'll be talking about that in a separate video or not. But so Lato and Right I saw last week, last Thursday, their new album. Here's the new album. It's called Now Be Thankful, which has a digital download too, but it's just a CD for it. I haven't listened to it download. They did a lot of it. I think I mentioned in the other video, the last video, but I think it's their like 11th album, 11th or 12th album. They've been around since either 2000. Um, it's got the Port Nabucco Mominsko Horo is a 12 minutes and 34-second track, and Sally On second side. Anyway, I like their last record a lot, Curios, and their masterpiece, children's songs from 2010, especially. But now be thankful. And then I got John Wright's solo album. I guess I don't know if it was reissued on CD, but came out in 1998, I guess, and it doesn't have Greg Harrigas on it, I guess. Here it is, but it has other people related to him, and it has people from Lato and Wright before Lato. It's almost like the first Lato and Wright album before Lato and Wright because it has both Matt Jacobs and Steve Leto, of course, and then it has Troy Berg, who's played with Greg Harrigas. It came out in '98, and I think it's called Just Left of Center. So and then I did get the vinyl for Now Be Thankful also. The first Lato and Wright vinyl come out. And the albums of the year stuff is sort of, I don't know what's gonna exactly happen with it, but you know, it's interesting. There's a girl in the back. Here's the jacket on the front. And then the three guys, of course, it's Lato and Wright, but Matt Jacobs is the drummer, been the drummer for like the whole time. But I think it's just a standard black, white labels and stuff. So, local Minnesota progressive folk rock, you know, um, band that's been around. Is one of my favorites. But it's cool that they have a new album, and very cool that they have vinyl for the first time. And I just had the download card. I got a download card for the vinyl and the CD, so I got to do that. So, all right, going back. Okay, so some other things I got recently. I did get the Masterpiece EP from John Arch, A Twist of Fate. I forget the name of the site. It's a like a blue vinyl. Um, 2003, the Comeback EP from John Arch. The two big epic or mid-length epics, Cheyenne and of course Relentless. Co-written by Jim Matheos. Jim Matheos is on this. Mike Portnoy is on this. I've said my piece with it on many Fates Warning, John Arch Matheos related videos. But yeah, it's great to finally have it on vinyl. I know like there was a version of, let's say, it might have been uh, Sympathetic Resonance, the first Arch Matheos record that had this on it, but I never got that version. But yeah, got pictures of the guys, that are on the CD. I have like 4 or 5 copies of the CD, so it's great to finally have this on vinyl. I just need a change of seasons on vinyl. um, okay, so I don't think this is the spot for this. I'll leave it here. And I got this a little while ago. I think it was on my anniversary, the 24th. I went and met my friend Bill, Mike Portnoy forum member, former. But it was the Galactic Cowboys album, Let It Go, which is the only one I was missing among the records that have been issued on vinyl. The big key one, of course, is this is the one that they did before they basically, you know, called it a day until they made their comeback in 2017. But of course, we don't have Space in Your Face. That's the one that someday I hope will be issued. That's their masterpiece. But this is a more experimental record. I've talked about this a little bit, I think, at points. Um, I didn't get to the albums of the year for 2000 though, so I might have mentioned it on the Empire list though. But yeah, I know there's a couple like Beatles-esque tracks on here. One of them is Life and Times. But there's some psychedelic kind of experiments. It doesn't Bucket of Chicken. It doesn't resemble any of the other Galactic Cowboys records. In a lot of ways, they're just doing these trippy experiments, and they knew it was their last record, produced by Wally Farkas. Like Swimming in December is 10 minutes and 28 seconds. I think that kind of meanders, and also the record ends at 12:34. So yeah, that's what Let It Go with the title, the gatefold and stuff. So Galactic Cowboys. I hope the quality of this picture. I hate. I'm gonna have to get a new camera at some point if I'm continue doing YouTube. So, all right. So going back to some of the stuff when Joyce's friend Shane was here, we went to a bunch of stores. I got this. I believe this is the one record I bought at the Uptown Cheapo. The one of the first times I've been there. It's the Greg Kinn Band. Like I've only been there like 2 or 3 times since COVID. I went there once on Record Store Day. I want to say like 2022, but um, this is the album that has the breakup song. But Sheila was a single. But Greg King Band, R.I.P. Greg Kinn. He also had that song. Was it My Love's on Jeopardy? Which Weird Al Yankovic, of course, it does. I Lost on Jeopardy, but um, Bay Area. He traveled in some of the same circles that Kevin Gilbert did, although it was way before that even. But my points. So some of the people that worked with Kevin knew him, and I know he had been doing live music up until like the maybe mid 2010s, but eventually I think he ended up getting dementia or something like that. And when he passed away, it was like just last year, 2024, I think. So 2023, 2024, but yeah, Greg King Band, Rockin' Roll, which came out I think it was like 81. Yeah, it was 81. So um, all right. So then the Electric Fetus, I got this at a few of these records. Electric Fetus, I found a copy of the last full length record from Vector under their previous lineup. They're still technically around. They put out an EP a few years ago, but this is Terminal Redux, and now I have the three proper records. I thought they had another record, but I'm not sure about that. But the three proper Vector records: progressive thrash metal, modern progressive thrash metal, a little similar to Voivod, but in some ways different, a little more technical even in some ways. Um, uh, from this album came out, I think it was like 2016, but I saw a copy of it and I just like decided. I know some of the hipsters, including the needle drop, like Vector. So but the two other records, Black Future and Outer Isolation, I think it was. It's like space. It's like progressive space thrash metal. I mean, I don't know if it's like space rock, but they have like Voivod. They use like a space element. Blue vinyl there. Um, I kind of split hairs. On Black Future would be my go-to normally, but there's some good records. There's a couple of songs on here that I know were clean vocals. I want to say Ultimate Artistifer maybe, or Pillars of Sand. I can't remember, but a lot of like pig squeal vocals. But I mean, the energy is really great on this record. All three of their proper records. But yeah, it looks like crap, grainy. But anyway, that's Outer or Terminal Redux from Vector. Pretty sure that was 2016. The year that my wife and I got married. Yep. 2016. A lot of things came out and happened. So I also got a copy of the first Starcastle album, a promo at Electric Fetus. Good record. I had this on CD, and I think of Starcastle for this record most. It has Lady of the Lake. It's People will give you different takes on it, but it sounds a lot like Yes. And it's not a terrible. I can stomach it. I mean, there's some bands that sound too much like certain bands, like not Wolf Mother, but Greta Van Fleet and even Crown Lands to some degree sounds way too much like Rush. I'm not so bothered. At least in fairness, this was around the same time Yes came out, so Gary Strader, I remember meeting at Nearfest one year. I think there he is. He's the guy on the second to the top. But anyway, and then I end up finding this, and then here's where I started buying records that Joyce would want that in Joyce's memory, and I'm going to add it to her collection. Maybe not give them to her friend Michael. There's a picture disc of Spice Girls "Wannabe 25." It's a single. If she has this, I'm going to be kind of upset, but that's why it was $14 because it was a single. But I think she would have bought it though, because even though you picture discs don't play, they sound terrible, I guess. But from a collector standpoint, Joyce loved the Spice Girls, and anyway, you can see. I don't know if there's anything more to the picture disc. Uh, Probably not. I'm not sure if this was like a Target exclusive or doesn't really say so. UMC, but yeah. So she talked about wanting to go to England to find George Michael and Spice Girls stuff. So all right, I found this record at. Geez, everything got damaged. Um, I think I got this at the Little Canada Cheapo. The last record store Joyce really shopped at, sadly. That was on Record Store Day in April. Cafe Jocks, I think it was their. This might be their debut album, 77. It was in there. Was the second one. I have the other one of the other Cafe Jocks. It's a promo, um, but it's called Round the Back. I think this might be the second one actually. But they're kind of in the glam rock vein. I know when I got into Apes and Androids, this was released on Columbia. I think they might be from England, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're from New York. Um, this is one of the bands a few people were being comparing them to them and Sparks, and well, Sparks is not super known, but way more prolific and have a much longer career. Cafe Jocks, only certain people know, but obviously they're on a major label, so they and this is a promo. They had some level of. It was produced by Rupert Hine, the late Rupert Hine. But yeah, so I got this as one. I saw a few other things at Little Canada Cheapo. I was telling about Joyce and everything. If they remembered her, but a lot of the record stores I did that. So I haven't been record shopping that many times since Joyce passed away. Even this past year, I've been buying a lot of my records online, sadly, in some ways. So we did go to Barely Brothers, and I found this there. It was another two records I was thinking about getting, but this is a Zeppelin EP of live stuff from two different dates. Earl's Court from 1975, and then Nebworth 1979. But it's all four tracks are from my favorite Zeppelin record, Physical Graffiti, including In My Time of Dying. It just came out recently. This has probably been on bootlegs and everything, but it's just called. I don't know if it's called Live EP, which is just a throw in lazy title. I don't know why Page and Plan agreed to that or who came up with the title, but thick pressing though, and the Zoso label and everything. But In My Time of Dying, Sick Again, Trampled Underfoot, and then Cashmere. Um, the last two, the other two B sides are from '79, so that was and I can't remember if that was the point. Yeah, yeah, that was when John Paul Jones was basically running the band. But Sick Again is just I love that track too. So anyway, both in England, Earl's Court and Nebworth, I believe. So people picking this up. I mean, I don't have a lot of the. There's tons of Zeppelin live stuff. I just saw that. I was like, I love these songs off Physical Graffiti. You don't see In My Time of Dying, especially. So then at Agartha Records, end up picking up a couple of records. That was the one that Shane actually, along the records, so we went to 6 record stores he probably liked the most. So he liked a lot of them. I picked up a copy of Hot Buttered Soul from Isaac Hayes. Progressive Soul from, it's like 68 or 69. I think it was 69. Yeah, it's a 2016 issue. But yeah, this is a lot of horns and strings on this. And, this is not the Shaft theme. But Isaac Hayes, R.I.P. Of course, people know him for Shaft. They know him for being the chef on South Park. But no, this record is I've listened to it only a few times. I heard it earlier this year when the Polyphonic did the special video on progressive soul, and the idea of quote unquote progressive soul. I'm not saying I hadn't heard of it. Progressive R&B, progressive soul, progressive funk, even. Is there something in here like a download? I'm not sure, but I thought there's like an insert. Maybe not. But yeah, this is a Hot Buttered Soul is a classic in some ways. What was it? Uh, Side to One Woman. By the time I get to Phoenix, is that the one that's the epic? It's like 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. So Yeah, I mean, I get it predates a lot of the funkadelic stuff too. It was like, and it was even predating what Stevie Wonder would be doing, some of the progressive stuff. He was, in some ways a pioneer, but he didn't do it forever. But I haven't heard a lot of his other records. It's a little bit like Herbie Hancock. Well, I've heard some of his other records. Of course, the key record for Herbie Hancock for jazz fusion and jazz rock fans is the Headhunters record. But so I found this also again a Joyce thing. This is the 12-inch single for Careless Whisper, a promo. She might have this, but I don't know. If she doesn't have it, I'm really glad I snatched it up. It has the instrumental version and the extended mix. Careless Whisper, the big hit from. Technically, it was Wham. George Michael wrote it, and then he wanted to release it under Wham, so Andrew would just basically reap the sort of financial rewards because his name is like a co-writer, um, going getting royalties and everything because Carel's Whisper, not necessarily the biggest Wham song, but pretty damn close, and it's been used several times. So Andrew Ridgely doing okay, with that, But yeah, this is that 12-inch single. It's one of Joyce's favorite Wham songs. She likes everything. She wants more, but like that. So then I went to a record show a couple weeks ago and picked up a few records. One of them was, and the case is a little damaged. It's from Carnival, Asymmetry, Australian, you know, heavy progressive art rock, very influenced by Tool among others, but similar to Fair to Midland. This is their last previous record. There's going to be a new Carnival record coming out in 2026, in I think it's February. Um, so people are getting kind of hyped up about that. Let me just pull this. Let me get I keep forgetting the name of it and the date. Yeah, there's some other new releases like that band Ebb from England that's mostly female prog band. They have a new album coming out next year too. But Carnival's new album is In Verses. It comes out on February 6th. So, but I think with that coming out, this record might get some more attention. I mean, Asymmetry, I can say is the record I listened to the least. It make sure I don't screw this up. Mouse is going places. Um, it was more of like it's like the fact I saw it there. I was like, wow, you never see Carnival vinyl. I don't have either of the other two, Sound Awake or uh Themata. Themata would be the one. I know it was like $60, but that was like about 2 years ago. And I saw it listed on an email, but I mean, I haven't probably listened to this record since 2013. It was kind of in that sense you could say it was kind of it kind of I want to say it was forgettable, but it was definitely a record that a symmetry that didn't like have as many as memorable songs. That song Sky Machine I think was a single, and Ions. There were a couple singles, but it's like and people loved Sound Awake so much, and I actually thought, well, the production's better on this one at least, but I think there's a download card on here. But as a whole, I just, I don't know. 2013 was a weird year. I've had many weird years. This looks like the same, the labels and stuff, but I'd like to get, obviously, I'd like to get Themata. Sound Awake, for the right price, I would get it, but the problem is that record's going to be a double, so you're talking a minimum of probably 35, $40 minimum, and I like some of the writing on Sound Awake, and some of the songs don't have clipping in them, but there's a lot of them that do. And if they'd remix it, but unfortunately the case got damaged a little bit. Nice guy though that I got this from at that I forget his name now. I think it was like Christian. Yeah, I think it was Christian, but this is out in Egan. So then I picked up this, which I found out later that it wasn't as I thought it was out of print or had been reissued and it was really expensive, but it's Roll the Bones from Rush, which I only need a couple of their more recent records. I have every Rush record on vinyl, but I don't think this is one of the most recent reissues. But my go-tos on this album, Bravado, Heresy, and Ghost of a Chance. Those are my top three. Dreamline, I've heard so many times live. It's still a decent song. Roll the Bones, Where's My Thing is a decent instrumental. And The Big Wheel, that's another one that I've always thought people don't talk about. Ghost of a Chance was one of the first Rush singles. I still like that, the guitar solo especially. Neurotica, You Bet Your Life, and Face Up to Me are kind of, forgettable. But, I mean, This album at one point I kind of liked more than Counterparts. I wouldn't say that anymore, but it's it's definitely not as good as Presto, but it's better than Test for Echo, and it's better. Yeah, I'd probably say it's not top to bottom necessarily better than Vapor Trails, but it's more listenable. Although Vapor Trails, the remix got better, way better than Snakes and Arrows, and I'd say I guess I'd put Clockwork Angel slightly above it, but that's a kind of a push because the best songs on here are very good. It's just the weaker songs are just kind of again, quote unquote filler. I don't know. I mean, it's not as heavy as Counterparts, but it's lighter. It's not as light as Presto, I guess you could say, but that doesn't necessarily mean much. It was the album. This would be actually my first, in some ways. This is the new album that had come out when I got into Rush. Granted, I guess you could say Counterparts technically was the first brand new album after becoming a fan in '93, but yeah, I remember because Ghost of a Chance, like, who's the band that does Ghost of a Chance? That's Rush, the same band that does Tom Sawyer. So then I got two other. That was from one dealer at Christian guy. There was one other guy that I bought for $15, two 12-inch singles that were of the Joyce thought process. Wham's "I'm Your Man." She has a bunch of singles. I never get around to it from Wham, but I don't know if she has this particular one. Although it was a hit, it was not nearly as known as like "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" or "Careless Whisper" or even even what's it called her favorite song um um somebody. What am I thinking? I mentioned it earlier. It was maybe the fourth or fifth biggest Wham single. Um, yeah. So it's got three mixes: "I'm Your Man," "Do It Right," and "I'm Your Man." If you want to do it right, yeah. Um, and then I got another Joyce thing: Robert Palmer's single "You Are in My System." I'm not sure. This is a 12-inch. Came out in like 80. Well, it was before his biggest hits like "Addicted to Love" and "I Didn't Mean to Turn You On." That cover he did. This is '83, and "Simply Irresistible." But she talked about in one of the videos many years ago wanting Robert Palmer 12-inch singles, struggling to find it, so I found one of. Um, anyway, let's see. This is 22 minutes, so I'm gonna call it a day. Maybe I'll do a separate video for the movie. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, as far as vinyl goes, I may go to a record show this weekend. I'm not sure, but I mean, buying it is I'm sort of on a holding pattern. But there's still more. I did pre-order ours. The ours Distorted Lullaby. I ordered two copies. I've been waiting for that record on vinyl for the longest time. It may not come till next year sometime, but it finally is being issued by Interscope. I think has the rights. Interscope or DreamWorks. So, but that's it for my vinyl update of sorts, and the CDs or whatever. But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.